Good morning, Conrad. Welcome to our virtual vinyl day.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure our audience is going to be very keen to learn what goes into manufacturing a really high-end turntable. Um, but let's start at the beginning. What actually motivated you to get involved in the hi-fi industry in the first place?
I don't think I was motivated to get into the hi-fi industry. It
Okay.
wasn't on the
Wasn't your
careers
ambition?
tickets. No, there was never an initial ambition to get involved. But basically, a friend of mine built a kit turntable and asked me to have a look at it. It worked, but I thought that there was some things that could be done better. And I bought the turntable from him. And that started, if you like, my 20-year quest to basically develop a turntable for my own personal use. And like all hobbies, they become all consuming. So for a long time, I spent my life in reference libraries and even getting jobs at places like foundries and things like that, basically to learn everything that I thought was important about developing and designing this turntable.
Okay, so I mean that sounds like you had some pretty big ideas there.
Yeah, basically, right from the word go, the time that I was doing this, the era, if you like, turntables really focused on things like speed stability, rumble, and things like that. But most people know that when you put your ear near a turntable, you can actually hear the music. And that's because the cartridge vibrates the record like a cymbal. And because the cartridge is essentially a seismograph that picks up vibration, it not only picks up the vibration of the movement in the groove, but it also picks up the record movement itself. It's that record movement that basically has a huge effect on the sound that causes coloration and distortion. My whole concept is that we remove that vibration very effectively, so you get a much cleaner sound, freer from vibration, you get less record wear, and because the cartridge is able to track the groove much more faithfully.
Now, just thinking, because I've had the privilege of looking around your factory, or certainly your old factory. I haven't been to your new place yet.
Yeah.
You've got some pretty substantial machinery there, and you know, when I think about turntables, the kind of tolerances that are involved. I mean, that needle is moving microns, right? So,
Yes.
what kind of engineering challenges are there? What are the major engineering obstacles that you need to overcome?
Well, once you've got the design, fundamentally you need to reproduce that consistently all the time. There's lots of companies that produce products where they say we treat everyone with loving care. That sounds to me like each one's different.
Yeah.
Every one of our products is exactly the same. You can interchange parts and everything. There's not ever a problem. But you're right. When we first started in business, we used to subcontract all our work to precision engineering companies. We then brought that in-house. So we now have a series of CNC machines. I think the lightest one is 6 tons. So it's not something you do in your garden shed. And that gives us a lot of flexibility. It gives us the flexibility of being able to turn up or turn down production depending on demand. Gives us a beautiful opportunity for quick prototyping work and development. And also it gives us another string to our bow. We can do subcontract work, which we do for many other companies, everything from other audio companies to automotive to defence.
So at Cyrus, what we tend to do is we try and we kind of design a product to 95% of where it needs to be, and then we go through numerous iterations based upon listening tests and so on.
Yeah.
Is that a similar kind of process for designing turntables? How does that work?
For us, no, not really. Once you have the concept, all our designs very much follow form follows function.
Right.
And I can actually probably look at a turntable and tell you how that's going to sound, because I can see the materials that are being used and how it's put together. And very similar to someone who designs a car engine, right, will be able to let you know how that's going to perform by the layout and the size of everything on an engine. So a turntable is very much more a mechanical device that does a job, as opposed to, say, electronics or loudspeakers, where there's probably a much more necessity to listen to the product, because there are components which you would choose and optimize to the final sound. Whereas with a turntable, with us anyway, is very much, we have our design philosophy and we know how to execute that to get the result. And that's why if you look at our turntable range, you can see a lineage, a DNA, if you like, that follows right through the whole design, right from top to bottom. So we use the same bearing, for instance. There's certain aspects that we'll use which will be consistent throughout our whole design.
So that's quite interesting. So it's quite a different approach. The fact that it's a mechanical device means that the intrinsic behavior of the various materials involved, it makes it very kind of predictable. It's just about manufacturing to that tolerance and having that sound philosophy in the first place is basically. It
is. I mean, there are certain designs where they mix and match materials to get a sound that they want to get. The problem with that type of design is that it works in an environment with a certain amplifier, with a certain pair of speakers in a certain room.
Yeah.
Our approach is that we design things to be a completely neutral, effective reproduction equipment, which sounds very cold and analytical, but basically it will work anywhere and give the maximum performance in any given situation.
Fantastic. Well, that's a pretty good explanation of where you've come from and what's and where you are now. But kind of where are you going? What's on the roadmap for AVID going forward?
Well, some years ago, we evolved into doing some electronics. We started with some phono stages, and what you have to appreciate is this is what could be best described as my train set. So, now we're being fairly successful at turntables. It gives me the opportunity that I can look at other things and bring to bear what we've learned and what we know about a bad, if you like, vibration into other aspects of the audio chain. And my goal is to produce a complete audio system from beginning to end. And we started with phono stages. We then evolved that into now a full range of electronics, from big reference preamps and monoblocks down to integrated amplifiers. And we then sort of looked at loudspeakers. And we evolved again from top down. So we developed our very expensive loudspeakers, and we use that same technology. And we're soon to launch out a new range of more affordable loudspeakers. We also are developing some tone arms to go with our turntables, and we also have some cartridges which we are developing.
Is that your Ruby cartridge?
So this is our Ruby cartridge. This sells for a mere £6,000.
Small change.
As opposed to a lot of manufacturers where they decide they want to do a cartridge, so they buy it from a third party and stick their name on it. Yeah. We've actually designed this from the ground up. And we actually manufacture 99% of all of this, and then someone does all the microsurgery to put it all together for us.
Okay.
So we already do our own cables, racks. So we're very, very close now to having a complete system that we can provide that will follow our philosophy in terms of removing bad vibration away from the good vibration, which is the vibration you want to hear.
Well, certainly, if the sounds you've been producing at recent hi-fi shows have been anything to go by, that's definitely a very worthy objective.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Cool. Well, listen, that's pretty much all we've got time for today, Conrad. But I'd like to thank you very much again for being part of this virtual vinyl day.
Yeah, pleasure.
Apologies if my cockerel is a bit noisy in the background.
Not at all.
Such is the nature of working from home.
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, thank you very much from all of us at Cyrus, and I'm sure everyone that's watching as well. And yeah, let's catch up soon.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.